Hey guys, welcome back to the second half of this episode of Real Life Keto Radio. So, just to kind of recap, in the first half, we talked a lot about the power of community in reference to the KETO-SIStas community. We're just coming off our first ever in-person KETO-SIStas retreat. We're like on cloud nine, even though our energy level is probably at like a 2 and my voice is like at a negative, just because we didn't get a lot of sleep and we did a lot of talking. But it was a fantastic experience, both for us as leaders and hopefully for everyone that came in. But when we're talking about community, like we talked about it and how great it was, but like what does that really mean? And what is the KETO-SIStas community like? So we wanted to take a little time to kind of describe it for those of you that are maybe just listening to our radio show or our podcast or watching this on YouTube, and you don't really know what we're all about. Because yes, we're about keto. We're about helping you find your real life keto fit. But more importantly than that, we want to be your guides on finding your best life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So something that this might surprise you, but a conversation that we have had multiple times over the last couple of years is like, why are people following us? Like, why do people want to hear what we have to say? How is this like developing? Because it took us by surprise. It wasn't really the direction that either one of us planned to go.
I mean, I would like to take credit for having this grand master plan, but no, it just kind of happened.
Yeah, not even close. I mean, it really was, we actually had like mapped out a completely different plan, and the keto challenge was just going to be like a little tiny part of it. And then when we saw like the traction it was getting and how it was really appealing to women, we're like, I think we should shelf this other plan and focus on the KETO-SIStas. And that plan is still on the shelf, and nowhere in the future are we planning on taking that plan off. Yes. So we ask ourselves a lot, like, what is it that is making this work and that is getting the traction and helping us to build the community? Because we want to take what people are loving and make sure that we continue to do it and make it better all the time. And what we have kind of concluded, and we asked that question of our girls that were there this last weekend, like, what is it that's making you guys want to fly across the country and stay up all night with people that you just met? And we think a big part of it is because we are pretty vulnerable, how we just put ourselves out there and share what's really going on, and just you kind of have seen us fail forward. Those who were with us in the first challenge saw me trying to learn how to do video for the first couple of months, where I went live every day.
And it went sideways.
Like 1 out of 10 times, it would just be sideways, even though I did it the same way. Like, people see that we aren't afraid to fail because we have a passion for helping women, and we're on a mission to help better lives. And so we don't care when we mess up. And
we care.
One of us cares more than the other. But yeah, we're not trying to, we want to do a good job, but we're willing to make mistakes and do it loudly, because we know where we're going and we know how many women we want to help. And we are on a mission to help 1 million people better their lives through the keto lifestyle. And so when we make little mistakes and things don't go like we planned, we're willing to accept that. And I think that just gives comfort to people. Like, you know what? Rebecca and Bridget don't really have it all together. They don't even have it halfway together sometimes. But people know that we love them and that we want to take care of them in this community. So it makes it a safer place for them, I think.
Yeah. And I think that authenticity is huge, especially in today's society with social media, right? So a lot of people put their best foot forward on social media. They use the right filters. If a certain post or whatever doesn't get enough likes or enough support, they'll just take it quickly down. Like, everybody is putting on a pretty face, right? And so I think what we've done in the KETO-SIStas community is, because we do fail forward publicly, I think it just gives people permission to just relax the standards of perfection that they've imposed on themselves, and they just realize this is a safe place. Like, the leaders are messing up all the time, and we do try to learn from our mistakes and to adjust.
Right. We joke about it. We don't take it casually. We are always asking ourselves how we can do better, asking our team, what can we do better? Like, we're in a quest for bettering ourselves 1% better every day, but we just accept that there's going to be mistakes along the way because we are so vocal and putting ourselves out there that we know it's going to be loud when we make mistakes.
Yeah. And like, I go back to my childhood and in school, I was like a huge nerd. Like, if I had 100 average in a class and there was an extra credit assignment, I was guaranteed going to do it anyway. Just that kind of person. And so I really held myself to a high standard, and it caused a lot of stress in my life. And it would impact the kind of classes that I would want to take, because I might have been interested in, I don't know, basket weaving or something more fun or creative. But there was no way I was going to sign up for that class because I didn't know that I could excel at it. So I wasn't even going to try. And so I lived a lot of my life that way. And I never want to go back to that. Pursue excellence? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Demand it? Never. Like, I just want to live my life to the full. And I think by us doing that very much out there on social media, on a radio show, it just finally frees women to say, hey, they're not perfect and they're okay. And they seem kind of happy. Like, it's okay to mess up.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have the freedom to mess up, you suddenly have a whole world full of opportunities that are just dancing in front of you that you're not afraid to try anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really good. I forgot what I was going to say next because I got so tuned into what Rebecca was saying. But, that's a huge part. If you have not already taken the 21-day challenge, that is a huge part of what we do there, is talk about giving yourselves grace, giving each other grace. And we work hard to live that with people in real life, with the people who we work with virtually. So that's a huge part of our message to people, is to live a life of grace.
Yeah. And it's kind of a delicate balance, and your balance can shift depending on where you are in your life. Like, yes, on one side, we do want to pursue better. Excellence in everything is what we strive for. But on the other hand is grace. So that when you mess up on this side, when you're trying to achieve and to push yourself and to move forward, when you mess up, you don't beat yourself up, right? You learn from those mistakes. You realize that failure is part of the process.
So one thing, the most powerful, there were so many great moments of the weekend, but one of the most powerful time was the dinner on the last night before a lot of people were flying out in the morning or having to drive home. And we were all sitting around. So there were, about 17 of us around the table. And I had everyone go around and share their biggest takeaway. And over again, we just heard people say, like, I've never had this before. I've never felt like I had a good group of girlfriends. I've never felt like wholly accepted in one place. And it got us so emotional. I mean, I could not for the life of me find tissues. I know we have them somewhere in our cabin, but because we had a lot of decorations and things, like, it was a little bit of a hot mess in our supply closet, I could not find the tissues. So we just had this thing of toilet paper that we kept, like, passing around. Super classy.
It was very elegant.
The setting at the table was beautiful, like, so fancy. You felt not okay in your leggings and t-shirt because it was so awesome. And then we're, like, passing around this roll of toilet paper. But it was just raw and real to hear women talk about how they have felt beat down and they have not felt accepted. And they've always felt less than. And just to hear them starting to get a glimpse that they are enough, that they are okay just as they are. And they've found a place where they can be accepted and loved. And we will literally cherish them and celebrate them for their differences as we pursue better.
Yeah. And we did spend a lot of time just around the fire or in the hot tub, just kind of getting to know each other, spending time with each other, pouring into each other. But we also did some intentional exercises to move people forward on kind of their mental and emotional journey. And so we talked about learning to accept yourself and feeling worthy and deserving. And you could tell with some women especially, like, that would really hit home. At some point, I asked people to identify some adjectives, positive adjectives, that currently describe them in a beautiful way, in a way that they really liked and appreciated. And you could tell some women really struggled to even identify those. I could have given them a list of great adjectives to describe them. But when they were asked to describe themselves, you could physically see them almost kind of recoiling inside. And that is exactly what we're trying to do, is to open people up and to realize that you are worthy, you are deserving, you have unique gifts and talents that like the world is waiting for. And the world does kind of beat down sometimes. And we want to be a place and a space where people feel supported and encouraged so that they do step into their greatness.
Mm-hmm. And if you are listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sad that I wasn't there, like that is unfortunate. You might be thinking even stronger words than unfortunate, that you missed out on such a powerful event. Couple things that I want to say there. Number one, it is available to anyone. I mean, we are working right now. On the way here, we were also talking about what are we going to do for the next KETO-SIStas retreat. I mean, it is already in the planning stages, and we'll get that out here in the next week or two. We need to just take like a hot second and recover. Truth about my life right now, guys. I still have things that have not been unpacked from Hawaii, from our 2 trips after, like we had a big trip and then another smaller trip after that, from our move, from the weekend. I mean, it's like we need a little time to just kind of regroup in life, and to just also process with our leaders, like what was good about the retreat, what do we need to duplicate, how soon do we need to do it, how do we want to structure it. But stay tuned, that is coming soon. We'll be getting that out, everywhere for people to see. But it is, I hope that no one is listening to this thinking, well, that's great for them, but that could never be for me. But it's just not true. It is, we want to be able to reach anyone who is willing to invest in what we're doing. We want you to be a part of it.
Yeah, and when you said that, I thought back to that last evening when we were around the candlelit table that was so beautiful, passing around our gorgeous roll of toilet paper to capture all the tears. And I just remember feeling so humbled. And I still haven't just found another word to describe how I was feeling. I wanted to say burdened, but burdened has a negative connotation, but just more like, and even saddled with responsibility, that sounds negative, but just somehow like feeling the weight of, oh my gosh, this is a beautiful thing we have, this community, and a lot of people don't know it exists. And so just a feeling of, how would you describe that? Like,
I don't know, I'm trying to think of the right word.
Just wanting so very badly to make sure that people understand that type of community does exist. And I'm not saying you have to find it with us, but I think there are a lot of people that were at our retreat that were surprised at a community of women, and we weren't competitive or catty. And it was just supportive and encouraging. And instead of seeing someone's victories or someone's strengths and being jealous, wanting to highlight that even more and to like lift that up. And I think a lot of people are hungry for those types of relationships that help them become the better person that they know they can be. And when you do that, it's almost like you feel a responsibility to share that with others.
Yes. So a couple thoughts there. If you are watching this and you were at the retreat, I would love to know, like in the comments, please let people know your takeaway, what it was like for you, what impacted you the most now that you're back home, what you have carried back with you as you think back to it. But if you're listening to this and you were not at the retreat, and maybe you're new to our community and you're like, man, I want some of that. Where it starts for most people, for everyone at the retreat, where it really started with them, for the most part, was through the 21-day challenge. So if you are looking for community and keto knowledge, that is a part of it. It is a keto challenge, but it's just become so much more. If you are looking for that in your life because you just crave this as we're describing it, you can start with the 21-day challenge. And because we are feeling this so much right now, we are actually currently running, I don't know how long we're going to do it, probably not very long. We're running if you sign up for the challenge, you get to bring a friend into the challenge with you. So you pay for the challenge, but your friend does not have to. And we want to do that because we want to broaden our reach. We want to make it available for even more people. And we know that people who do the challenge with a a friend are much more likely to be successful, because everything is better in community. And I think that also is part of the reason why we have grown the way that we have, is because we are a friendship on display for the world to see, to give hope, to show that there is a different way to have to do life together as friends who are very different, but we laugh and celebrate our differences and just let it bring us closer together rather than further apart.
Yeah, and that is super powerful. Just to have the vulnerability with our friendship. I know several times on the radio show, we've talked about how we are very different and we're pulled in different directions, and how we really just, we complement each other really well. And I can respect the fun aspects of Bridget, which also come with a little bit of chaos.
A lot.
And she can appreciate some of my structure, and put up with me being a little bit of a stick in the mud sometimes. It's just recognizing that we are better together, and it is beautiful to find a community where everyone is celebrated for their own strengths and their differences, instead of being vilified for them or separated for them or canceled for them. Like, it's just huge. I feel like to feel like you have a sense of belonging and acceptance.
We're about to get teary-eyed all over again. Guys, it was powerful. We would love for you to be a part of it, but we are out of time. So thanks for being on our inaugural streaming it live to YouTube and Facebook. If you were part of that, thank you. I'd love to read in the comments what the retreat meant to you if you were there. And if not, we would love for you to join us in the future. But that's it for now.
Go create your best life.
You got it.
Yep.